Settle in, folks, because I'm going to show you how I make a drawing about the phenomenon of wind. The things that catch my attention when I'm outdoors. The movement of all of the textures and smells around me. I feel a kind of sense of belonging. It's like being home again. Certain times of day attract me. This is early morning, the way the sun is low in the sky, and I can see my breath. And all of the fall pods and seeds and dried leaves. I want to see what kind of shapes are possible with this kind of curvilinear, bouncing, rhythmic line. And I'm drawing with my shoulder. I'm thinking about the memories, spider webs, hatching leaves and other fallen debris in their webs, and this spinning in the wind that glimmers in the periphery of my eye while I'm walking. Now I have my pinky on the paper, keeping my hand at a consistent height, and I'm creating a light line so as to um, allow me to glide across this very smooth paper. I'm making moon shapes and I'm changing the size and my speed. They're not spirals, they're not complete circles either. Changing my location on the paper pretty frequently so as to create kind of an atmosphere of whirlwinds or turns that accumulate sort of the way they do on a fall day when the dry leaves are falling. And the overlapping of shapes are interesting to me. Part two, we are exploring shapes and patterns. This is my trusty cutting mat. It's got a lot of wear and tear, but it does the trick. I'm going to center my paper and tape it down so it doesn't go anywhere. I use a really light painter's tape so it doesn't tear my paper. And this is some sticker paper or stencil paper. You can use sticky drawer liners, things like that. I'm going to cut my shapes out of this stencil paper and choose an X-Acto knife with a sharp blade. But before I start cutting, I'm going to define some of my shapes with a felt tip black pen. It's a fine tip pen, anything will do, but it's just articulating some of the shapes so that I can cut them out. This is Bridget Riley. She's an English artist known for experimenting with optical movement. These pieces compose the unseen, and she also worked with overlapping circles to create infinite variety of shapes through repetition. It's drawings like this that may not tell a story, but they speak of our human experience of perceiving the world. And although the materials report to be still, our experience is that of movement. Part three will subtract these shapes from this drawing field by cutting them out. And this is a much more, I guess, severe process involving a blade. So please be careful if you are doing any kind of cutting with X-Acto knives, and make sure that you're using a very sharp blade. In fact, as I got into this, I didn't feel quite comfortable enough with the blade, and so I changed to a fresh blade And that just took me a moment. But I always keep sharp blades on me and make sure that I cut away from my hand. And I move very slowly and intentionally with the blade along this line. It's really um, just a practice, just like anything else. Lots of artists have used the cut line or cutting as a way of drawing. Rashid Johnson creates lots of subtractive and additive paintings and wipes paint off the surface while it's still wet. And in this work, he talks about a kind of collective anxiety. I mean, who doesn't feel anxious these days? These are my stencils, and it's kind of nice to see all of the work that I've done in just a big pile in my hands. If a breeze were to go by, it would carry them and scatter them everywhere, just like leaves. And some of them are sticky on the back. The drawing itself is not. So I'm sorting the stencil paper cutouts from the paper cutouts. These stencil cutouts have a grid on the back of them so I can tell that they're vinyl and I can peel them apart. I'm very particular about line and line quality, the direction of a line, the grace of a line. This is step 4, composing and reanimating, where I'll be rearranging the half circles that I've cut out on a new sheet. I can stick them to this paper and rearrange them and create a new composition. The paper it's a textured archival black paper. You can use just about any media on it, which is why I like it because it holds dry media like graphite, which I'll be using here in a minute, as well as acrylics and water-based paints. This is the work of Lee Bay, and it's a series of brushstroke composites. Usually we think of a brushstroke or a mark as part of some continuous flow, but I really like the way that he uses them to create a larger stroke of fragments. It's a little difficult to see where I'm sticking the vinyl down, but the light is reflecting off of the ones on the right. And there's these little vignettes of whirligigs that I'm placing around in different locations. This is a very exciting part. It's part 5, layering on water-based media. And I'm just going to paint on top of all of this stenciling that I just did. And the stencils are going to hopefully stick to the surface and create a resist. I'm using a mixture of acrylic, gouache, and sort of watercolor to add to the plasticity and transparency and flow. I'm working wet on wet with different size brushes. Always use different shapes and sizes of brushes to get variation in your mark. I use a dirty brush, meaning I'm not rinsing the color off my brush each time. I like the way that the colors mix together, and I have a range of warms and cools and lights and darks. And I just put everything on one ceramic dish, and I might work one layer pretty quickly within 5 to 10 minutes, let it dry, and come back and work on top of that for another 5 or 10 minutes. And I try to move as fluidly and quickly as I would as if I were sketching. Many of these colors are reminiscent of my environment. And when they are completely dry, I'm coming back in with the X-Acto knife again for part 5 to peel away the stencils. If I were to just peel these stencils off with this sort of plasticky paint on top, it wouldn't have that clean edge that I worked so hard for. So I'm very lightly going over the edges of my stencil, which are a low relief of the sun coming at an angle. I can see where they start and end, and I can grab up with my nails the tip of them and pull them up. There's something incredibly satisfying about pulling these stencil shapes out of this field of chaos. For my final step, I am burnishing those shapes with graphite. This is a graphite stick I'm rubbing to create a mirror-like surface. And I'm using a mechanical pencil to clean up the edges so that the shapes feel sharp, almost like wind turbines cutting through the air. The best part about it is when I change my position in relation to the surface, the light reflects off it and highlights the edges of the shape and makes it look like they're flickering. And now for the final reveal. This is the finished piece. I love the way that it moves and changes depending on how I look at it, and it even reflects the colors of the light of its surroundings. It's never the same. Each time I look at it, it appears to be interacting with its environment. Thank you for watching.